Oh, yeah, I forgot to do
Just say planning board.
Okay.
I'm here.
Deers.
Here.
Lux. Here. Mattson.
Here.
Campbell.
Here. All right, we're gonna do pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Couple of additions to the agenda. Under the number 14 approved minutes, we're gonna add an introduction of Mike Embrock, the new principal, and then also a presentation. Not a, anything else?
Is that it, ladies?
Okay, then we would just, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Waivers, I didn't see any in there. Right,
No.
so no waivers. Approve the minutes from the July 15th regular and annual meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 15th regular and annual meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So introductions, I will let you.
Okay, yeah, and I'll let Mike kind of introduce himself a little bit, but we have Mike Embrock here. We're pleased to have him. He's our new high school principal, and his contract started August 1st, excuse me. Usually we start on July 1st, and then they're the principal's kind of in hit and miss in July, not much, but coming from overseas, he'll explain that a little bit. He just really wasn't available throughout the month of July, but August 1st was a Friday, and like bright and early Wednesday morning, he was here, so he was about 48 hours early. That's a good thing. Better than being late. So, Mike, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Mike Embrock, I'm the new high school principal, excited to be here. Did a great article, I'm forgetting your first name, it's
Sarah.
Sarah did a great article, that was in the Pioneer. So there's a great chance to get to know about if you read that article, but, I've been in education now for 31 years, going on my 32nd, really hard to believe. Of that, 21 years as a school administrator, most of that as a high school principal. I started in South Dakota. I'm originally from South Dakota. I'm from small town, Alcester, South Dakota, in southeast South Dakota, just in between Sioux Falls and Sioux City. As the billboard says, it's 850 friendly people. In my hometown of Alcester. It's now Alcester Hudson. You've probably heard that, the consolidated with Hudson when Hudson closed. But that's where I grew up and where I graduated from. So I'm a South Dakota boy, a small town boy at heart. I always kind of consider myself that. Love small towns. I went from Alcester to SDSU, graduated, and then went on to become a social studies teacher. Started at Howard, went from Baltic, and then got my dream job at Tri-Valley, which is just outside of Sioux Falls there, teaching social studies and coaching various sports. Then while I was there, I was working on my master's degree at SDSU. Got my administration degree, and lo and behold, became a principal at Beersford. I was at Beersford before I went to Iowa, made the jump over to Iowa, and I was at a small place called North Iowa, Buffalo Center. Most of you probably haven't heard of that, North Central Iowa. But I was there for 7 years, and from there I went to Emmitsburg, where I was high school and middle school principal. With an assistant principal, and eventually just became the high school principal at Emmitsburg there. I was there for 6 years. From there, I went to AHSTW, which is in Avoca, just outside of Council Bluffs, about 40 some miles, 50 miles from Council Bluffs. And then from there, had the opportunity to become middle school principal at American Community School of Athens. And part of what prompted that is my kids were empty nesters. My wife and I were like, okay, this is weird. We don't know what to do with ourselves. We don't have kids and all these activities to go to from a kid standpoint. Let's maybe try to do a little travel and try something a little different. And I applied for the middle school position at ACS Athens and I got it. And so I've been there for the last 2 years. And so, that had to come to an end because you can only stay in Greece so long before you start paying about 50% taxes, and wasn't really ready to do that. So it was, what's the next step in life? And we wanted to come to the Black Hills for various reasons. And so applied for this job and this is where I am. So excited to be here in the Black Hills. My 3 kids are grown and older now, 28, my oldest boy, and my middle boy Isaac just earned his doctorate in physical therapy. He's 25 up in the Minneapolis area. And my youngest, or the baby of the family, Amber, is 22. She's gonna start her first teaching job outside of Des Moines in Woodward Granger School District as a first grade teacher. And big news from last week is she got engaged. So we got a wedding to prepare for, which my wife is on her way to Iowa now to help plan the wedding with my daughter before school really gets busy for my daughter in her first year of teaching. So, and we got a dog named Kaya. She's like a 9 to 10-year-old dog. So that's it about me, probably more than you need to know. Sorry, I'm a talker. I will give you about everything, all kinds of things under the sun. So that's me.
You want us to introduce? We haven't, you know all of us now?
Yeah, why don't you-
No, I've only met a handful of them.
Let's go around the,
Just in case.
start with the south sider there.
My name's my name's Jody Campbell, and I've lived in Deadwood now for 30 years. All my kids have gone through the district and graduated here, so welcome.
Nice to meet you.
So, sorry, the reason I called her a south sider is Jody and I went to the same high school. And so, small world, and she asked me one night at a board meeting, she goes, so did you park in the north parking lot or the south part? I was kind of a north sider.
Tim Madsen, been on the school board, off and on for the last 12 years.
Nice to meet you.
Lexi Lux, we met yesterday.
Yes. Good to see you, Lexi.
Amber Deers, I've been on the school board, what did you say, 5 years, something like that. And I have 2 boys, they're 20 and 22, and they both been to the school district.
Hmm.
So yeah, good job on naming your daughter, by the way.
You got another Amber to
We
go.
got Amber and Amber, Amber squared.
Amber and just went through the election here again. And I have 2 kids currently still in the school district, so I have a senior and an 8th grader. So, ends of the world, it's entertaining to say the least.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we appreciate you being here, thank you.
Good, nice to meet you.
And that's nice to meet you too.
You've heard from me a lot. Right? So, Margie, you guys have been introduced, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Mary, yeah. So,
Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you.
Excited to be here.
wouldn't announce the next agenda.
A presentation, not only.
Yeah.
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 And so, we're in the presence of greatness here.
You,
Okay,
you were supposed to just give it to me, not.
Yeah, no, whatever, Sarah's here.
so,
Kind of,
so we have the 2025 outstanding school board member for the state of South Dakota, right here, and both. There you are.
Don't just.
Good try.
We're gonna hide right here.
All
Did
right.
I get bunny ears?
No, we're all trying to hide.
There's a tree to commemorate that, so I think we're probably not gonna have a real long meeting. So if anybody wants to get up and grab a treat at any time.
Approve expenditures A through C. Would entertain a motion. Unless you want to call one out.
I make a motion to approve expenditures A through C. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial statements.
Make a motion to approve financial statements A through C.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Is there any discussion? I was just gonna ask what, on the school utility fund, what, if, I've never noticed it before, but what is the restitution payment?
That was when we had embezzlement, with the scholarship.
Okay,
Oh, so she's paying that back.
We just, get the check from the corporate courts and then we turn around and make a payment to our insurance.
okay, thank you.
company.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. New business, contracts, they were listed in your agenda. There's only a couple of them, it looked like.
I'll go real quickly. Classified work agreement, Stacy Buff, new elementary secretary at $19.56 per hour. And middle school paraprofessional, Joel Lunsgaard, $19.56 an hour. Then extra duty assignments, assistant middle school football coach, Chris Ferreira, or he's assistant high school football coach, pardon me. $3,447.60. And then assistant middle school football coach, Chad McCarty, $3,182.40.
We did need, entertain a motion to approve contracts.
Make a motion to approve the contracts.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The volunteer list I did not see in the packet, just.
We didn't have one.
Didn't have one.
I asked, but they didn't have one.
Okay, so nothing,
That's what we know.
no action needed then. Okay, approve FY 26 adult meal, which was in the packet.
So, we have to do this in August because we need to wait for, there's a formula that goes into that, so you needed to wait for the USDA price. So, last year we had a $5, the meal price was $5 for lunch and $3.25 for breakfast. Based on that formula that you do, they're recommending that we have a $5.17 minimum on the adult prices, so I recommend going to $5.25 so we don't have to deal with pennies. And same thing for breakfast. I would recommend $3.25. It's 25% increase in both, and we did the same with the student meals, increased 25 cents across the board.
Make a motion to approve the recommended meal price change.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion and then second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, motion carries. So we had a change order for the high school mini splits in here from One Way Service Pros.
So we've, they had some extra time to put some mini splits. We had the units here. So they are going to add units to fourth floor, be the two social studies rooms, 402 and 404.
Just some additional parts that look like.
It was just additional labor is what it ended up being.
Okay, so we just need a motion to approve that change order. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are looking to authorize the superintendent to negotiate the sale of land to Black Hills Energy for the new substation. You want to go into any more detail on that?
Yeah, just real briefly, on that, when we talked last time, this is something we've talked about for quite a while, and it was just kind of, I don't know that Black Hills Energy was like in a big hurry, and we weren't in a big hurry. Well, then kind of all of a sudden, they're like, hey, maybe we should get this done. And as we looked at, some of the comparables that we were talking about, Amber and I didn't really feel comfortable with. It didn't seem up to market value, what we were talking about. And so when I guess I don't want to go into an open session. I don't want to go into the I don't want to mess up the negotiations by throwing numbers out there. But anyways, we just didn't have a comfort level to go ahead and negotiate that last month. But then we had another meeting and looked at some more comparables, and we're a lot more in the same ballpark on what that land would be worth. And we realized, and I guess this is something, if the board wants to weigh in on it, we're talking about the land up by that water tank. Talking about probably about 3 acres, you know, could be a little less, could be a little more. And we realized that right there, you know, it's like kind of under the power lines and it's kind of odd shaped. And currently there's not like a good road to it. It's the Lost Irishman Road. It's not terrible, but it needs some improvement, so my point is that little parcel of land is not like prime residential real estate. However, it probably has potential to be something a little more than like compared to like a piece of ag land, you know, a piece of pasture or something like that. So anyway, the comparables we're looking at now are more residential type, not like real high end, but more in that range. And so I guess we felt we had a comfort level with it. So I guess I'd like to ask the board to allow me to enter into that negotiation with them. Now, if this would also be the time though, if there's somebody adamantly opposed to like, hey, we don't want a substation there. Like, we'd want to hear that now. I don't know why we would think that, but it seems like a pretty good spot for it.
The only thing, and I might be wrong, I don't believe that goes on the tax roll, right? Blackville doesn't pay taxes on it, so that's one downside, having substation there, because there's no property tax, so that doesn't help the school. That side, it does help, I suspect, on the development of that property up there, because then you get distribution up there. 3 acres seems kind of big for for a substation, but.
And some of their concern was, because there are like some ATV trails that connect with like some BLM land. And they were gonna have to like redo some of that road stuff, and they wanted enough of a buffer so people weren't right next to that substation, but to give it a little extra room. It was kind of what they told us.
I bought land for Blackville before.
Yeah, I know you have.
And I know they asked, I used to ask for, quite a bit more than I needed, because that's part of it.
Yeah.
So in the end, they will pare it down to a smaller parcel, because the substation doesn't need.
I think in the end, their footprint's gonna be closer to 2.
And Jim, if you'd like to be a part of that meeting, like when we sit down and talk about it, I would welcome that, if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to do.
That might be.
And we have the comparables that we can share with him already. We have both options. The first one, I looked at it and we were like, no, that's not even close. And then the second one came in quite a bit closer. So
Depends how bad they need.
they're interested for sure. And it is I look at it for the fact that we're not gonna be able to build a house there anyways, because there's so many easements underneath it, because you've got all these power line easements
Right.
right there anyways. And then it's next to the water tower, so it's kind of a good,
And we
have
kind
to
of,
put it somewhere, it's a good location.
we thought a little bit, and of course, we've got a close neighbor sitting right here. She probably doesn't like to say too much, but like, with that location, Amber and I kind of talked about, how visible will that be to the neighborhood? Is it gonna be an eyesore? And the location is it's kind of tucked behind the hill, and it's not super
It's
visible.
natural terrain barriers, we'll say.
I'm not saying it's invisible, but it's not gonna be like, we're not putting it right in the middle of the Hearst addition,
Well, it's better if you get the substation there before you start building houses.
Exactly.
Because once you have houses in there, then if you put it in there first, nobody notices. You put it in there later and that becomes a big issue.
So I'll share that information with you here within the next week here, and then we'll try and set something up, sit down with them.
So you want a motion to authorize you to
Yes.
negotiate?
Yes, please.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the superintendent to negotiate the sale with Blacklist Energy for the substation.
I'll second that motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Administrator reports. Dr. Pearson.
Okay, I just have a little bit and kind of a long, good segue here. Talking about our land project over there, and it seems, and it was for a few months kind of stalled out, but then There were some things happening kind of behind the scenes, and it's just a little bit complex from a legal perspective, and those are some of the things we're trying to work out. We've got a meeting actually tomorrow of that committee at 7 AM, right in this room, and we're gonna be looking at some of the draft covenants that we've had, Eric Neese over in Spearfish working on. And I think before too long, we're gonna be kind of at a point where like, we'll need to kind of make a decision if, you know, if this is what we're gonna do, and getting our ducks in a row to do it. If not, then I think we don't wanna put money into it. And I, of course, you know, talking about this the last 2 years, I really believe it is the best thing to do for our school district. As long as we are able to maintain some control over the development of that land to get the type of housing we want. And that gets a little bit tricky because I don't know if it's so much control as it is influence, but the route we're kind of taking right now is trying to get the right covenants put in place. Like covenants that would like exclude vacation rentals, VRBO, those type of things. And then kind of making it a family-friendly type of development. And then to get those covenants filed, is that the right terminology? Is that the right verb?
Recorded,
Okay, recorded.
same thing.
Yep, then to do that, we have to have a plat. And we may or may not plat every individual lot. But the kind of the sticking point, I don't want to get into too much detail here, but just so you guys kind of know what's going on. And that's where there will be some decisions for the board to make here as we start to get this a little more fleshed out. Is there could be a situation where maybe we plat out 54 lots in there. And to do that, and Amber, you can steer me right if I go wrong, but to do that, you have to do some surveying. That's gonna have a cost. You're gonna have to do some engineering to make sure that the utilities are gonna work, that the roads are gonna work. So all that stuff would come at a cost. Now, the good thing about that is our FY 25 fiscal year budget, we had like 150,000 budgeted in capital outlay for that type of work. Well, then we didn't do that. We didn't spend it. We weren't really sure where we're going next. And so we didn't budget it in FY 26, but now we probably would want it there. But the good news is I think that sale of that substation land would offset some of the engineering work, the plating work we would want to do. So it wouldn't be as big an investment, same investment, but we'd have some income to offset. And I think it would make it about half of what we at one time thought it would be, as far as spending our money. Now, the important thing to keep in mind there too is if we move forward and develop it, you know, the land would be sold and we've got like 189 acres or something like that. We don't have plans to sell all of that. I think it's around like 70 acres, the part that is preliminarily planned, okay? But the sale of that land would offset. So let's say if we had to spend 100,000 to do the plating and the engineering, okay, we get that back through the sale of land. And then again, we said with this whole project, we're not driven by money. Our end goal is to get housing for staff, that staff could afford and that families could afford in the school district. That's the ultimate goal. And so we feel pretty good about, we're moving towards that. And I guess, like I said, though, we're gonna get to a point here where we've talked about it enough and we'll have a plan. And then we'll have to probably next month or the month after, we might be looking to commit to some things, and I'm just kind of giving you a heads up on that.
No, I think the biggest thing to keep in mind with it is, you know, we've tried to keep it all, you know, in mind of, we don't have to sell it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But, we're at a point that what we're looking at doing is the school district would like to have a project in a bucket ready to go. We're not going to build the roads. We're not going to do that part. The goal is to have a developer come in and say, holy cow, I don't have to go get a preliminary plat approved. I don't have to deal with engineering. I don't have to deal with surveying. I don't have to deal with. So we're taking on that cost and time. It's taken us 2 years. Most developers, they don't want to wait for 2 years to do the work. So we're hoping to be able to have a package for them. That's what we're selling as part of the whole package. So that's the goal, is to get to that point. We are not going to be the developer. And that's one thing I know I've heard from a few people, that the school district has no desire to be the one building the roads, doing the infrastructure work, doing that stuff. But we do want to have the process where, the city's already looked at it. They're okay with the way the roads are looking. They're okay with all of this stuff. It won't be 180 acres. 70-ish is what we're sticking to. And I think about 20 lots would be the ones we're most interested in. The rest would be up to the developer to, to do with whatever. If they sell them and that's the money we get back, whatever. But the goal would be, in the end, the sale would pay for all of the upfront costs. That's the goal.
Yeah, and the other thing I think too is, and we're hoping this will be profitable for some developer, but we're gonna be very upfront and transparent with this thing, that what we want is, we want houses in this range. And I guess if you talk about an income range, I guess the vision I have is, if you have, I'll name a name here. Let's say you have the Campbells, Betty, well, yeah, but like Matt and Betty Campbell both work in the school district. And, is that a house they can afford? That's what I'm looking for. And I think, because that encompasses a lot of different occupations. But, a 2-income household might have a couple kids, 3, 4 kids, whatever. That's our goal. And so if somebody wants to replicate another Powderhouse Pass, this isn't the place for you. Nothing against that, but this is not that.
And I think we've also made it pretty, trying to stick to, the goal would be to have, maybe some townhouses. Like, so you have your college student that just got out of school, they want to teach, but they can't buy a house right now, but they could maybe rent or have, a smaller something. So kind of have a couple of different options for those people too. So that's the ultimate goal, but that's, you're looking at a 70-acre, you look at the big picture, you're this big, but we're only looking at about this much. So. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll have more here soon.
Yep. And I will, as we move forward, probably even before the next board meeting, I'll have some more information for the board, but this will all be discussed in open session here.
And we might want to say Robin did sit on that committee, and then I believe Tim, you're going to join us, right? So Tim is going to be on that committee now, because Robin obviously isn't on the committee, but Robin's still involved because of her position at the city. So there's kind of a nice transition there. We figured Tim would be a good addition just because of the building side of things.
Tomorrow, next thing I have, just real quick, tomorrow and Thursday, we have our new staff induction. Kind of excited for that, a little bit scared because, you're always like, am I totally 100% prepared? But, this is, I think, about the 3rd year we've kind of done it with this model. I feel like we've got a pretty good model. We're tweaking it all the time. Got all the principals involved in it. Mary's pretty heavily involved. Jamie's pretty heavily involved with some things, and so, as well as our counseling staff. And so that's coming the next 2 days. That's one of the first gear ups for you.
I'm supposed to be at that. I didn't have it down to be here.
No.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay.
And then next week, Monday, Tuesday, we've got in-service. And I'm gonna kind of look over at my teachers here because, a little snafu we had, and I don't know if they kind of changed the format of Cool Deadwood Nights a little bit, but somehow we, how many times we looked at that school calendar before we approved it. We had a calendar committee, the committee shared it with staff. Administration talked about it ad nauseum. We brought it to the board a couple months. Well, open house on Tuesday night is not gonna work with Cool Deadwood Nights. I'm not fond of open container front of the elementary when we got some parents gonna have this, maybe not quite the vibe we're looking for. So anyway,
They actually did change it. They extended it by one day.
I-
It used to not start till Wednesday.
and I think that's what we were thinking was the format of it. So what we did, I think we did something, we didn't have a lot of options, but I think we did something that's pretty staff friendly. It's gonna be kind of a long day, Monday. We're gonna start at 8, power right through until open house at 4. Open house is 4 to 6. But then the second day of in-service, done by noon, go home, so. Hopefully, and they do have, we did build quite a bit of, work time in the classrooms on Monday afternoon, so I hope you feel like we did the best we could. Okay,
Like a power day to keep your classroom ready and
Day
then
one.
open house. Here we go.
and here's the deal, these, I haven't seen it myself, but I'm sure both of these ladies have been in their classrooms a bunch already, and yeah, so they're really on track for that stuff. And then the next thing, and this is I told my assistant coaches today for cross country, I'm like, why don't you guys tell me when I have a bad idea? But we're doing our 12-hour relay on Thursday. Thursday's kind of a busy day, but anyway, it's gonna be kind of cool. It's our first practice, but then also starting from noon until midnight, we're gonna be up at Mountaintop and we're gonna have a continuous, try and have people on the track running continuously. The cross country kids, coaches are gonna help out with some running, but anyway, the kids are taking pledges for every mile they run, for people to donate, and that's our. You're hearing about it? Yeah.
We need to go and watch them and cheer them on.
You can. And so
Stove up there,
every
make lots of
kid-
Marshmallows. And take them in.
every kid will probably run between 5 and 10 miles that day.
Wow.
And so like, if you wanna donate, in which, like, I didn't get to it today, I sent out an email, but like after the meeting, sometimes I'll send out an email. And you guys can kind of watch for that, and if there's a specific kid you wanna pledge for, just keep in mind, like, okay. Like they're probably not gonna run 50 miles, so like, you don't wanna have to worry about overcommitting. But also, it's like, if you're thinking, oh, they'll run a couple miles, I'll do $20 a mile, and then they run 10 miles, I mean, like, I'm just trying to be upfront with what they're gonna. 5 to 10 miles spread out over a 12-hour period, it's not too bad, so.
That's this Thursday or next Thursday?
This Thursday, like
This
in 2
Thursday,
days,
okay.
yeah, it's.
So we need to go out there and cheer them on and rah rah.
You sure could. Yeah, we're starting practice at 11:30, go through our warm up and announcements and all that, but then at 12, the whole team is gonna run for a little bit on the track, and then we're gonna start spreading them out. One at a time on the track, try and keep it going. Yeah, it's something different we're trying, and so, if you want to come take pictures, Sarah, you could.
I don't do sports, but we have sports people.
They should come up and do that.
They should.
Especially.
Actually, I have a phone call with Jason tomorrow, so.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, okay. So we got that going on, and that's the last thing I have. I'll send out an email, so if any staff or board members want to pledge, I'll kind of lay that out for you.
Yeah, give us our pledge.
Like who's our, I don't even know who's all.
Like, I'll give you the roster,
There we go. Perfect.
and that's what's hard. I don't really know who's all, like, right now I have like 16 confirmed kids on the roster. I think there might be more, but like,
Yeah.
people ghost you in the
Haven't
summer.
started yet, so.
Yeah, it's hard to.
We need to get that out there, like, put that out there on the website or something to,
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just 16 on the roster already.
Yeah. Hopefully good. All right.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for me. I think I talked enough.
Okay, Margie, you're up. Financial fund balance report.
This was Tim's request. July board meeting.
Mhm.
I actually did all funds, general fund, capital, or not all funds. The major funds, general fund, capital outlay, and special ed. They're all in your board packet. This goes all the way back to FY 2013. The fund balance then was almost 4.7. And then 2014 to 24 are actual. 25 is pretty close to being actual, and then 26 is the budget numbers. So for FY 24, our revenue was the 6.7. And then if you go down a little bit, the expenditures was 6.6. And then I have a row in there that says the difference between the revenue and expenditure. For example, in FY 14, The revenue exceeded expenditures by 70,000. Fund balance was 4.7, it grew by 70,000. In FY 15, the fund balance grew by 324,600. You can go on down the line. I'll just bring up some of the highlights. In FY 19 to 23, we had the transfer from the capital outlay fund to general fund to balance of budget. So like in FY 19, our revenue was 6.4. We transferred 750,000 from capital outlay to balance general fund, and we still were short 174,750. So our fund balance decreased in FY 19. FY 20, that was the year that we had to close the pension fund. We've been able to levy 30 cents, and then the legislators closed that fund. So in FY 20, we had a transfer into general fund from the pension, and then we also transferred 600,000 from capital outlay. Fund balance actually grew 896,938 that year. FY 21, we transferred 500,000 from capital outlay. So the revenue or the expenditures exceeded revenue by 188,970, reducing our fund balance to 3.2 from the previous year. FY 22, there was $1 million transferred from capital outlay to balance the budget. And the difference between revenue and expenditures was 79,000. Fund balance grew 79,000, but that year. FY 23, there was 503,297 to from the capital outlay fund to balance the budget. Fund balance grew by 213,000. FY 24, 25, and 26 is when our valuations increased. So the fund balance grew in 2024 by 766,000. 25, it should be pretty close to fund balance increasing by 311,000. And then the current budget that we're in now, FY 26, we did not request the full levy. Our fund balance should increase about 63,000 for FY 25 or 26. So from FY 19 to 23, there was 3.3 million transferred to the general fund from capital outlay. And then in FY 20, the pension fund, we transferred the 1.4. Are there any questions?
No, I think that's good, because I think it's nice to see that history and see kind of where the fund balance is at, and kind of compare that with what we've had in the previous years.
Yep.
And it's getting, kind of, there were some discussions in the past, where were we, we're kind of comparing maybe to at some point get to state aid, use the funding formula, but I think it's obvious here that anywhere near.
Yeah, we'll leave out from state aid. So yeah, you've got the revenue there. And then, of course, the additional revenue from the transfers, capital outlay, and the pension, and then the expenditures are there. Keep in mind, we did have ESSER dollars too. Some of those revenue and expenditures include the ESSER dollars, pretty much in general fund and capital outlay, and a little bit in special ed.
Thank you very much. I know it's hard to grab that stuff, but
Sure.
really appreciate it.
Yep. And then in capital outlay, it's the same thing. I don't know if you want me to go through that, but it's the revenue, the expenditures, and the fund balance. For FY 25, our fund balance grew because, we had the middle school project in there, but there wasn't much work done on there. So our fund balance for June 30th, 2025 is estimated to be 5.4. And then in 26, with the revenue expenditures, we use about 1.2 million. So it is estimated to be at like 4.2 million. And special ed is the same thing. There's some notes down there, like, we had to go to the extraordinary cost fund to balance the special ed, and with valuations the way they've been, we haven't had to do that. So our fund balance still in special ed FY 25 is estimated to be at 876. And then we'll use about 224,000 in FY 26 from the fund balance. And it's estimated to be 652,000 in special ed. So if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email once you study this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anything else, Margie?
Nope.
Okay, Bill, your turn.
Okay, so we'll start at the elementary school. I've already gone over some of these with you guys just a little bit, but we're starting to wrap everything up and kind of closing down on things. So at the elementary, the safety glass is gonna be installed this week. The guys have gone down and they've repatched or patched some of those holes in that rubber playground. And then we put shades in room 211 and 212. Middle school, Sequel has started construction as of today. So today was their first day there. The library, we're finishing up, the floor's been done. Ceiling tiles are done. Windows were put in, the window was put in yesterday. The lights will be installed tomorrow. The checkout counter will be here on Monday and that'll be installed. Then we have new flooring in 136. Drain tile behind the building has been installed and new shades in 135. We're working on that concrete slab in front of the building. New shades in 320 in the principal's office. New floor in the choir room office. Fire alarm panel is done. The electrical panel is done. It is going to be inspected tomorrow. Art room was painted. The fax room ceiling was painted. Mini splits on English, choir room, computer room, IT closet on 3rd. And they're working on 404, 402, and 404. And then we put 2 sets of steps in the gym 2, bleachers, 1 on each side, so.
See. Yeah, like, in gym 2, they had those, it's a really big step, and there's nothing we can do about the bottom one. We just took 2, like a section on each side and put a half step in there so that people.
I'm laughing because Sherry says, now I can make it up steps.
I tell you what, this old guy going down those steps, that kills my knees, like this.
I think it'll be really nice, because that is probably the one complaint I heard from a lot of, like, grandparents and people trying to be in there, they just had such a hard time getting up and down, so I think that's good that we got that done. Good job.
85 years.
Yep. And make sure all your staff knows, I know that they did a lot of little projects that needed to get done, so. It's-
Yeah, and there's some that I didn't quite touch on. I mean, we
Yeah.
painted the front of the doors on the front of the building, handrails and.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff done, so. Perfect, thank you for the update. Zach,
Right, kind of gonna start with some summer stuff here. So the bound registration was new this year. We kind of did a soft transition with that, so we still allowed for paper copies and then also used bound online. I'd say overall that was a success. We had a lot of kids come in the last day with physicals for us to upload, but it's gonna be easier for our office to kind of track that paperwork coming in, moving forward with that. Got a lot of positive feedback on that with some of the more tech savvy people that were able to navigate that. We did put a video out on how to do that as well. This spring, I think we're gonna look for a day to schedule physicals for our athletes, just because that seems to be the big hangup. We had a lot of kids walk into, football, for example, on day 1, about 7 or 8 of those kids came in and still had to have their physical done before we started, so. That's something that, I'm gonna be free and then probably will too as well, since they'll be in track season for this spring, for us to get a day for kids to kind of get that done. Next year's 7th through 12th graders at least.
What is our requirement for how old that physical can be? Or
Our,
is
our
there-
school district policy is a year, so every year it has to be updated. The state requirement is every 3 years, but our school district has an every year policy.
Okay.
Every 3 years, we kind of talked about that, would be a little bit of a nightmare to keep track of.
so much can change. Oh,
Well, and my main reason for asking is that, you know, the littles football, we require it to be within 90 days. So
Yeah. And then kind of something new with Bound this year, access to our activities we'll have an option for cashless entry as well. So buying tickets with the card, we're not raising the prices for those. There will still be a cash option as well. So those are kind of some new things. Summer participation, you know, as far as our speed and strength stuff are concerned, I kind of had my hand in that this year again. Coach McCarty helped me all summer. Our numbers were up. Last year was kind of the beginning of this, over 50% this year, and it's not done yet. You know, it goes all the way until the first day of school. This was free for student athletes to come in. Our coaches really helped drive this. They did a really good job of communicating that with their athletes and getting them in over the summer. And it kind of brings us right into a new option for our athletes this fall being implemented. The fitness and conditioning classes are gonna be more athlete centered this year. So during the day, they'll have an opportunity to do their in-season workouts. That'll take time off of our coaches' plates. They don't have to do those after or before school. There will be a 0 hour offered at 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. for our kids. Right now, there's over 40 student athletes signed up. And the fall coaches are really pushing for that as well to get those kids in. This fall, so far, we had football start last Thursday, so our new coaches are kind of rolling there. And then golf, cheer, and dance started on Monday, and cross country and volleyball will start on Thursday, so in 2 days here. Coming right up, we have the Prospector Bowl on August 30th. I don't know if everybody's seen this yet, but the cheer and dance team, is doing a morning pancake breakfast here at the high school. And that's free to anybody who wants to come. That day, then at 9 a.m., we have a middle school game, and at 2 p.m., a high school game down in Deadwood for the Prospector Bowl.
Thank you. Would you, Jamie?
So still unboxing computers. We had 200 computers for the high school students and 90 new staff machines. So every staff member got a new one this year. Luckily, if you guys would have seen it on the last month, Andrew Karp started over at the middle school, and he's the 12-month tech assistant, and he's been a lifesaver. So he's been helping out a lot. We also got the complete new phone system throughout the district. We're using Teams. There's going to be some training because they're a little bit different, but today and yesterday was a good test with the secretary's pack, and but the back end stuff should be all set, so we should be good to go there. The licensing, I don't know if I had explained this before, but one of the reasons we had chosen the Teams phones were because we're already paying for Microsoft licensing. So this was part of it that was included. So aside from this upfront cost for purchasing the phones, we will be saving a lot of money when it comes to a monthly phone bill. So I had mentioned last report that I was trying to get E-rate funding. Luckily, we did get approved, which is great, but scheduling has been a bit of an issue. Sorry, the funding was for replacing the network cabling in the high school from the back of the stuff that the governor had done. And scheduling's been a bit of an issue. They are thinking that they're going to start sometime the 1st of September, which is going to be interesting. So we'll have to see how that goes with working nights and weekends and getting that done. But other than that, it's just been busy with all the upgrades and getting stuff ready to go for the year.
I was in the high school yesterday, and I think the number I heard for the amount you guys are saying is in the neighborhood of like 20,000.
It will be substantial. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know the exact number, but yeah.
Thank you. Oh, looks like we're to public forum. We did not have any forums.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Did we have it?
Yep.
We did do it last week. We were supposed
I don't see it. Oh, there it is. I saw it on the.
Hi, yeah, I was like, Friday. Okay, perfect.
All right.
All right, Tim, go ahead.
I apologize, I wish I would have done this last month, but I was at kids camp during the last board meeting, so kind of conflicted, but, I know what the policy says, about well, in regards to the Bible class that I want to get started. I know it says that the policy says it can't be on school grounds, and I was wanting to see if we could do something with that, because FCA meets on school grounds, you know, which is another Christian organization, and I guess, Lead-Deadwood High School Democrats, they have a club that meets on school grounds too. So I'm just trying to see what the difference is with mine, because mine would actually be a school substituted class. So I'm assuming I would have to take attendance or whatever for it, because, I mean, if kids sign up and say, hey, I want to go to this, and then they just ditch out of school. You know, so I would assume there'd have to be some kind of attendance for that, and then just with the busing of somebody, because I can't bus them, obviously. I mean, I can fit one kid in my van at a time, you know, so that's not realistic. But, anyway, and then just, I haven't been able to find a facility because I thought maybe there's a few I could probably use, but it didn't pan out. Which isn't your guys' problem by any means. But anyway, just, I thought even time-wise, you don't get maximum time on this class. If it was just somewhere in the school, you know, and I don't know if I made it clear or not, because it wouldn't just be high school, we do it elementary too. I don't know if that, I made that clear.
I guess, yeah.
It doesn't, because, I mean, I could go and do them a half hour before I got here, you know, because they get out so much earlier, but, so, I mean, the little kids are my focus anyways, so. But anyway, just throwing that out there, just,
Are you looking at, during the school day or after school or at the end of the day or?
well, I mean, I could do it after school, that would be fine. But the policy was saying it could be a substitute class during the regular school day is what I thought the policy was stating. So, and I mean, I really don't care if I did it at noon, to be honest with you. But, 'cause I know FCA has done noon stuff too, so, but, I mean, time wise, at what time it is, I really don't care. So,
I guess I'd have to go back, because, I mean, we don't have the policy, or I don't, I mean, I remember kind of looking at it, but I didn't.
Alex pulled it up for me and showed me what it says.
If I remember correctly, it said that, it could be the last class of the day and it could be one class period per week.
Right, yep.
So that's the only thing it really said, but other than that, yes, it did indicate that it needed to.
Right.
I guess, I mean, it would be a policy change. It would have to be a whole new write-up in Word.
Right.
I don't feel like we should be, the policy's in place, that's what the policy says.
Yeah.
That's my issue with it, and I guess.
Would it be any different than like the Girl Scouts filling out, building use? Is that what it's called, building use?
Well, the difference is they're here during school times. If it's
Right,
after
so-
school, I mean, that would be,
The existing policy deals with,
yeah.
and I'm not a big fan of that anyway, like, I think instructional time is pretty precious. Like last period of the day, having kids once a week, miss that class once a week. But I think, it kind of goes back to, in days past, when we just had a lot more families that were kind of faith oriented. And I think that, like you had, not picking on the Catholics, but you had like CCD and some other things like that. And I think that was kind of the origin of the policy back when, is that, once a week, yep, let them go do their religious instruction. So I think if we're gonna change the policy to allow something new, just my initial reaction is, I think I would want to try and find a way to not cut into instructional time. But I guess if we're not talking about in the school day, like you talked about FCA, well, like, we're not excusing kids from class.
Right,
For
right.
FCA, they do it during their lunch, they do it during their study hall. That's a little bit different, like, well, and then you mentioned like the like the lead Democrats. I don't have any, I don't even know who that is. I mean, I know what a
Well,
Democrat is, but
they're another school program though. I mean,
right, but I didn't know we had that. I wasn't aware of it. So my point is, like, we're not pulling kids out of class for that or excusing them from class. And so the law is pretty clear on the requirement to give equal time or equal opportunity for people to use the building and that kind of thing for a club. If you, I guess for lack of a better term, I'd call it a club. And I don't think that's something we want to get in the way of, but I think we want to define as we talk about this going forward, if we're talking about a class, we're talking about releasing from school time, if we're talking about a club, non-school affiliated club like FCA, you know, all those things have like a little bit different twist to them. And so when you use the comparison of FCA, like, yeah, great, that would probably be easy to do something similar to that. That might be the easiest path. You know,
My only, other thing that I would mention with that is that part of why you wanted to do this during school hours is because of the fact that athletics, you know, everyone's got sports after school all year long. I would question if we couldn't maybe go to, instead of it being that last period of the day, potentially allowing it during, fourth period, SRB.
we don't have an SRB,
Well-
like study hall. you mean,
Study
like
hall,
this,
yes.
Yeah,
I
possibly.
mean,
That's a possibility.
again, that would still require that policy change, but I do think that could be a potential way to accommodate if that's the route we choose to go.
I have a hard time accommodating because we have a policy. The policy's there. If we're gonna accommodate, my kids go to Wednesday night. They don't, that's a choice they make. I have a really hard time making an accommodation because this is gonna open it up for every other group that wants an accommodation. Because if we allow this, then we have to allow whatever their group wants to. I think we stick with the policy. Yes, we can help with, like, if he wants to do it during lunch. I don't think there's anything about him being in school.
No, but I do think that there's,
You have to follow.
the policy is, specific to religious instruction. So, really,
So I think,
He's there.
I don't think you two are really that far apart, really.
No,
I think
we can do it, it's not.
I think that, yeah, like, so there is an existing policy that makes room for that religious instruction off campus, 1 day a week. I just don't know that this request fits that policy. So maybe if we get off of that policy, quit talking about changing that policy, just kind of leave that alone, that almost makes, in my opinion, makes the discussion a little easier. You know, like when you use the comparison to FCA.
Right.
Okay, that's kind of a different animal. Like, we wouldn't have to change policy, or if it was like, you know, a half hour right after school or something, we wouldn't have to change any policy. And again, it might conflict with sports or whatever, but I think there are different ways we could skin this cat without, I just don't think it fits that policy very well.
I just like the idea of after school. I think after school would have the least amount of like interaction of instruction time.
So let's do this. Let's research this a little bit. Tim, if you want to give, I mean, we're not probably be able to start this like
Right,
first day of school.
Right.
Give us a few weeks to get the school day underway,
Absolutely.
or school year underway. And then maybe if we could first have a conversation, maybe at the admin level, with like the principals and you and I in a few weeks here. Let's maybe do that, and then then we'd have something to bring back to the board, and it may be, I want a little more time to look at it, study it, now that I kind of know what we're talking about. It may not be anything that needs to be a policy change, or it might not be something that needs board approval.
And that's what I was looking for. If it's gonna be treated no different than any other, I mean, we have a lot of private groups. Like, they do this, they have somebody that watches it. Treat them the same as anybody else. I don't see why it's not that. I don't think it needs to be underneath, you know, the other stuff. And if that's the case, we don't approve every single, I mean, there's a lot of groups that exist that we don't have anything to do with.
Right, I didn't even know the Democrats were here.
I would be curious though, as to how old that policy, as to when that policy was adopted.
Yeah.
And what our school schedule looked like at that time. Like, for instance, at that time, was study hall the last period of the day.
Yeah.
I think that that would kind of explain a little bit of that. I mean, whether or not that actually changes anything as far as like what you guys choose to do at the admin level. I don't know, but I do think that looking at, okay, why was it selected to be the last period of the day? Was it selected to be the last period of the day because it would be the least intrusive to actual instruction time?
Probably goes back to, I was in college, so, which is prehistoric. But Wednesdays had release time. And so this probably goes back to that release time, and it was never in, that release time was, the kids went to the churches.
Right.
They didn't stay in the school, so it's like, well, we can't have this release time, have all these kids in the school, we need to be off campus.
Right.
So then they left, and so I think that's probably what that.
Which is still in place, and we make sure our sports aren't past the time that they're supposed to be on with this.
Okay, so does that sound like path forward? Like,
Oh, yeah.
give us a few weeks. Yep. And then reach back out to us and we can set something up with the principal, you and I, and maybe we can have a cup of coffee and.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
and
Neil.
thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
So is that was it then for public forum? Okay, so next meeting, we have a regular board meeting on Tuesday, September 9th at 9:30. And we have a strategic planning meeting on September 30th at 6 P.M.
I'll probably be calling in for the September 9th. Be somewhere in Washington. I might be in Oregon by then. I don't know. I'll be somewhere.
All right, so we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And second, all in favor?
Nice.
All right, thank you. Look, there, I used